Creators, protectors, destroyers. This is Vaaksh, where the gods speak.
I am Parashurama, the immortal warrior, the slayer of tyrants, the hand of karma. I am not bound by time, nor by death. I walk the earth through the ages, returning when the weight of adharma grows unbearable. Kings tremble at my name. Warriors pray they never face my wrath, and even the gods watch in silence when I raise my axe, for I am not just a man. I am Vishnu's fury made flesh. Yes, I am an avatar of Vishnu, the sixth descent of the preserver. But understand this, while some avatars come to guide with wisdom, to show love, to nurture devotion, I did not descend for peace. I descended for war. Not to comfort, but to cleanse. Not to teach, but to punish. When Dharma is mocked, when power turns arrogant, when rulers believe they are above justice, I rise. And when I rise, there is no mercy. My power is unmatched. My strength is the rage of the storm, the force of the unyielding tide. No army can stand before me, no kingdom can contain me. My axe Parashu is no ordinary weapon. It was given to me by Mahadeva himself, the god of destruction, the lord of time. Forged in the fires of divine will, tempered in the essence of cosmic law, it is not just steel, it is destiny. And when it is raised, it does not fall in vain. I have mastered all weapons, all combat, all strategies of war. My feet have walked through rivers of blood. My hands have torn through legions of the wicked. I was trained by Shiva himself, hardened by trials that would break even the gods. And so, when I strike with the power of divine fury. But do not mistake me for a mere slayer. I do not kill for sport. I do not wage war for pleasure. I am the enforcer of Dharma, the guardian of balance. And when the world forgets righteousness, when the Kshatriyas, the warrior kings, turn their blades against the weak, when they become oppressors instead of protectors, I rise, I cleanse, I purge. Who am I? I am the wrath of Vishnu. I am the axe that falls when kings forget their duty. I am the storm that washes away corruption. I am Parashurama. And my war is never truly over. You wish to know my story? Then listen carefully. My tale is not of peace nor of love. It is a saga of war, a testament to justice, a reminder that karma does not forget, and it begins with my birth. I was born to the great sage Jamadagni and his wife, Renuka. My father, wise, powerful, a master of all scriptures. My mother, pure, devoted, the embodiment of grace. And yet, fate had already decided that I would not walk the path of a quiet ascetic. My blood was mixed with fire. A fire that Vishnu himself had kindled. A fire that would one day rise to burn the wicked. From my earliest days, I was unlike others. While my father meditated upon the secrets of the universe, my hands itched for a weapon. While sages sought peace, my heart thundered for battle. It was not defiance. It was purpose. I knew, even before the world did, that I was not meant to sit in the shadows of temples. I was meant to stand in the heart of war. And so my training began. My father, though a sage, was no stranger to knowledge of arms. Under his guidance, I mastered archery, swordplay, and the art of battle. But my true test was yet to come, the test that would make me what I am. Shiva, the destroyer, the lord of beasts, the god of gods. He is the storm that shatters mountains, the silence that follows destruction. And it was to him that I turned, for I sought the weapon that would make me unstoppable. I sought his divine axe, the Parashu, but he would not grant it easily. For years, I roamed the forests, performed penance so severe that even the winds wept for me. I stood unmoving beneath the raging sun. I bore the bites of serpents, the clawing of beasts, the torment of hunger. And when my spirit had proven its strength, when my body had become unbreakable, he appeared. Mahadeva, Shiva. He stood before me, his gaze as deep as eternity itself. He smiled, a smile that could shake the very fabric of the universe. And then, he tested me. He sent his ganas, his divine warriors, to fight me. They came like a hurricane, swift as lightning, strong as the tide. But I did not fall. I did not falter. I stood my ground, my hands moving faster than thought, my body unyielding, my resolve unbreakable. And when the dust settled, I was the last one standing. And then, he raised his hand, and in his grasp gleamed the weapon I had yearned for, the divine axe, the Parashu. He placed it in my hands, his voice echoing through my very soul. Use it only for Dharma, Parashurama. Never in anger, never in pride. This weapon is not yours. It belongs to balance itself. I swore upon the heavens that I would wield it only in the name of justice, that my fury would rise only when righteousness was betrayed. And then I descended from Kailash, my purpose carved into my very being. I was no longer just a man, I was a force of nature. And fate had already prepared my first battle, the war that would carve my name into the bones of time itself. The stage was set. The world was teetering on the edge of corruption, and I, the instrument of justice, had just begun my task. The first to test me was Kartavirya Arjuna, the 1,000-armed king, a man who believed that his strength could crush all opposition. His arrogance was his undoing. He thought himself invincible, untouchable, above the laws of the universe. Kartavirya Arjuna had many armies, many allies, many weapons, but he had forgotten the first rule of Dharma. No one is above the cosmic order, not even kings, not even gods. And when he violated that order, when he killed my father Jamadagni, I became the storm that would tear his world apart. He had crossed the line. He thought that because he had strength, he could defy righteousness. He stole from my father, took what did not belong to him. And when my father, the sage, stood against him, Arjuna murdered him in cold blood. That was the moment I knew. My vengeance would be swift and unrelenting. My purpose would be fulfilled. I raised my axe, the Parashu, the weapon gifted to me by Shiva, and I marched towards Arjuna's kingdom with the fury of 1,000 storms. The earth trembled beneath my feet, the winds howled in warning. When I reached his palace, I did not speak. I did not need words. I needed only my axe. I tore through his army like paper, my strikes faster than their eyes could follow. The very air burned with the intensity of my resolve. And when I reached Kartavirya Arjuna, his 1,000 arms could not save him. They fell one by one, as my axe struck with the precision of fate itself. His arrogance was gone in an instant, and before he could even comprehend the justice that was being delivered, he was no more. The kings of the land, those who stood with him, who reveled in their power, watched in silence as I cleansed the world of his filth. They knew then that their arrogance too would meet the same fate. No one who defies Dharma could escape me. But my war was not over. Kartavirya Arjuna was but one in a long line of rulers who had forsaken their duty, who had let power corrupt their souls. There were many more to come, and I did not rest. The Kshatriyas, the warrior kings, felt my fury again and again. 21 times I marched across the earth, not for conquest, not for glory, but to restore balance. I did not show mercy. The law of Dharma is harsh, and I am its instrument. I cut down every king, every warrior who had turned their blade against the innocent. I did not hesitate. I did not falter. For when a disease ravages the body, the only cure is to cut it out. And so I did. Each battle, each strike of my axe was a lesson that the gods themselves would not need to teach. Karma would. The earth would. The very fabric of the universe would remind these rulers that the balance of life and death cannot be tilted for long. And yet, even in my rage, I did not forget my purpose. I did not kill for hatred. I did not fight for glory. I was only a servant of Dharma. It was not my wrath, but the law of the cosmos itself that guided my every move. And when I had purged the land of those who had forgotten their duty, only then did I stop. Only then did I rest. But understand this, my war did not end in a moment. It will never truly end. There will always be those who will rise in arrogance. There will always be those who think themselves above the law. And when that happens, when the scales of justice are tipped once more, I will return. I am Parashurama, the weapon of Vishnu, the enforcer of karma. And I will not stop until the balance is restored. The battles raged on. The earth was scarred, the skies were darkened with the dust of destruction, and the gods themselves observed in silence. The Kshatriyas, who had once ruled with arrogance and oppression, now lay in ruins, their kingdoms in ashes. But even in the midst of victory, I felt no joy, for I had not waged war to conquer, but to restore balance. The weapon in my hand, the divine axe, the Parashu, had become the instrument of fate. But even I, the enforcer of Dharma, could not escape the consequences of what I had done. As the last of the corrupt kings fell before me, I stood in the silence of the aftermath. The world I had sought to cleanse now lay before me, a place that was both pure and broken. I had done my duty, but I had paid a price. For every king I had slain, for every life I had taken, there was an echo, a ripple that reverberated through the fabric of the universe. The land was free of tyranny, but it was also scarred by the violence I had unleashed. The people who had suffered under those kings were free, yes, but the bloodshed that marked the path of my war was undeniable. The air was thick with the weight of what had been lost, not just in kingdoms, but in the very soul of the world. And in that silence, I heard a voice, a whisper from the depths of time itself. It was the voice of Vishnu, my Lord, my guide. He spoke to me, and in his words, I found the truth I had long sought. Parashurama, you have done what was necessary. But the path of destruction is not the path of peace. You have wielded the axe of justice, but now you must put it down. The world needs balance, but it also needs healing. I stood in the presence of my Lord, and I understood. The axe that I had used to destroy had also created a world that needed to rebuild. My war had been necessary, but it was not the end. The world would never truly be at peace until its wounds were healed. And so, I put down the Parashu. I left behind the battlefield, and I withdrew into the forests. I went to the mountains, to the quiet places where time seemed to slow, where the noise of the world could not reach me. There, in solitude, I reflected on my actions. I reflected on the cost of justice and the price of wrath. I realized that while I had fulfilled my purpose, the task of rebuilding was now in the hands of others. It was no longer my place to wield the axe. It was time to let the world heal. But though I stepped away from the world of kings and battles, I was never truly gone. I remained a figure in the shadows, a reminder of what happens when balance is tipped, when Dharma is forgotten. I still walk the earth, though I no longer wield my weapon. My presence lingers in the hearts of those who fight for justice. And when the world forgets once more, when the scales of Dharma are tilted again, I will return. I will rise, and the axe will fall once more. I am Parashurama, the immortal warrior, the enforcer of karma. And though my war has ended, my purpose remains eternal. For in the cycle of life and death, in the endless dance of creation and destruction, there will always be the need for justice. And when that need arises, I will be there. Not with hate, not with anger, but with the unyielding force of Dharma. Remember my name, for it is a name that will echo through the ages. Parashurama, the one who was born from the will of Vishnu, the one who fought to restore balance, the one who walked the earth with the fire of justice in his heart and the power of the divine in his hands. And when the world is on the brink of destruction again, when evil rises to overwhelm the good, when the kings and tyrants forget their duty once more, I will return. For the axe that I wield is not just a weapon, it is a reminder that no one is above justice, and no one can escape the wrath of Dharma.